Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to another Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 flight. And today we're taking this Airbus A320neo to Gatwick, and we're here in Innsbruck. Now, there's a couple of things on this video as I get the aircraft ready. First of all, I made a tweak to my graphics settings. I realized actually that I didn't have my Bing maps on in the background, which is why I was a bit disappointed with sort of mountains and terrain. They were always a bit disappointing looking. Well, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact I didn't have Bing Maps turned on, which basically overlays the satellite imagery on top of your terrain, or the default terrain. And today, of course, we're also using PACX, Passenger and Crew Experience. So we're just getting that set up as well. Just putting our codes in for Innsbruck and Gatwick. We'll call it EasyJet A320neo. And today we're cruising at an altitude of 34,000. Flight time is expected to be 1 hour and 1.5 hours. That's not too long. And it'll be about 25 minutes until takeoff. We just input the aircraft on board, 168 passengers. Now we can serve snacks and drinks, but not meals on this flight. So we've got PACX, we've got the Flybywire mod of the aircraft, of the A320. What else have we got? Bing, I mentioned Bing Maps to hopefully improve our terrain. And I'm also using Flight Recorder. Now, if this works, I'll put the recorded video at the end of the flight, so you'll be able to see the landing at Gatwick and the takeoff from Innsbruck using Flight Recorder, which is a free add-on that's available online. I'll put the link in the video description, but it's a very, very useful little add-on, free of charge, and it's great actually for training, because you can look back on your flights and see how you landed, and it's only from an outside view you can see what happened. So here's a quick look around Innsbruck. This was one of the airports that was handcrafted for the default version of Flight Sim, and already I can see a big difference to my terrain. Much more realistic looking mountains. So you can see this is a challenge in itself, flying in or out of this airport. Now, needless to say, I haven't put real life weather, because if this was real life weather it would be covered in snow at the moment. But I just wanted to do this video really for views, get nice views of the mountains, etc., and the terrain. So I've kept it to clear sky, or a few clouds or something, can't remember which.
On behalf of the cabin crew, I'd like to welcome you aboard our flight. As you find your seat, be sure to place your larger carry-on items in the overhead bins and smaller items underneath the seat in front of you. If you have trouble finding a location for any of your carry-on
You can see our
items,
flight
please use
plan,
the flight attendant call button
which
over your
winds
seat
its
so somebody
way
will assist you.
between the
If the
mountains,
overhead bin is full
over
after you put your
valleys,
carry-on inside of it, please close
and
the bin
out
as
of
a
the
courtesy
Alps.
to other passengers. Once all your items are put away, please clear the aisle and sit down in your seat to allow other passengers to find their seats as well. If you are seated in an emergency exit row, please read the exit seating responsibilities in the safety card in the seat back in front of you. Please make sure you are willing and able to perform the actions required.
Right, so we've got our APU bleed on for starting engines. We'll put our wing, our de-ice, etc. on, just in case we come into any clouds.
Thank you and welcome aboard. We are ready to go when you are.
So that's us fully boarded.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome aboard Flight 210 with service to London Gatwick. Our flight time will be roughly 1 hour and 30 minutes. Now that the cabin door is closed, please make sure that all devices are in airplane mode and your large devices are now shut down and stowed. Please fasten your seatbelt and make sure that all tray tables and seat backs are in a full
No
upright
tug
and
today,
locked
so we'll just have to do our own
secure doors for departure.
reversing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your complete attention to the flight attendants as they demonstrate the safety features of our aircraft. You will notice a light illuminated above your seat. When this light is illuminated, please fasten your seatbelts low and tight across your lap. To fasten, insert the metal fittings into one another and tighten by pulling on the loose end of the strap. To release your seatbelt, lift the upper portion of the buckle. We suggest that you keep your seatbelt fastened throughout the flight as we may experience unexpected turbulence. Please take a few moments to now locate one of the several emergency exits on this aircraft. In some cases, your nearest exit may be behind you. In case of an emergency and we need to evacuate the aircraft, there is lighting on the floor that will guide you towards the exit. In the event of a decompression, an oxygen mask will drop.
Right, that looks pretty good to me. Not exactly straight, but the front wheels are on the line.
Tighten the straps if necessary and breathe normally.
That's the main
Although the bag
thing.
does not inflate, oxygen is flowing to the mask. If you're traveling with a child or someone who requires assistance, secure your mask on first and then assist others. Keep your mask on until a member of the crew advises you it is safe to remove it. In the unlikely event of a water landing, a life vest is located in a pouch under your seat or between the armrests. When instructed to do so, open the plastic pouch and remove the vest. Flip it over your head. Wrap the straps around your waist and buckle at the front. Pull the strap to tighten. To inflate the vest, pull firmly on the red cord only when exiting the aircraft. If your life vest does not inflate automatically, blow into the mouthpieces for manual inflation. Each vest is equipped with a whistle and light. If necessary, your seat cushion can be used as a secondary flotation device. Pull the cushion from the seat, slip your arms into the straps, and hug the cushion to your chest. Once again, all devices must be in airplane mode and your larger devices must be turned off and stowed at this time. Please securely stow your personal items. Make sure your seatbelts are fastened and seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position. We remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the smoke detectors located in the lavatories is prohibited by law. All of this information can be found in the safety card located in the seat back in front of you. Please read it and let a cabin member know if you have any questions. Thank you for flying with us again, and we hope you enjoy your flight.
Thank you for that safety demonstration. Hope you were all paying attention. Now, if the flight recorder works okay, I haven't had any issues with when I've been testing it before, but if it works okay, I'll put the video at the end of the flight for both landing and takeoff. So if there's video there, then you'll know it's worked. If not, you'll know the whole thing crashed and it was an absolute disaster. But I've tested it, and so far it works absolutely perfectly. It's simplicity in its operation, and it does exactly what you want without being too fancy. It's a very plain looking program, but it works absolutely superbly. You can select any camera anywhere when you play back.
Ready to go.
And you can wind. There's a little pointer that slider that goes backwards and forwards, so you can quickly get to a point in the flight, the landing or the takeoff that you want to see, and examine it from whatever camera you so choose. Brilliant. Excellent. It's great for seeing where you go wrong particularly for landings, because I find it very difficult sometimes to see exactly what happened in the landing. Why did the aircraft do what it did? And if you've got an outside view, at least you can have a good look and see what happened. What did you do wrong? Because it's not always obvious from the cockpit. Right, well, it's a very short taxiway to the airport, of course, to the runway. It is a very small runway and small airport. That's quite a view out the window, isn't it? Those magnificent mountains. Right. Let's just halt here while we get fully configured. Right, that's us. Break off. Off we go. I think the secret of this part of the flight is to avoid mountains. So we'll quickly get our autopilot switched on so that we can strictly follow the flight plan out of the mountains. You can see that narrow patch of green on the computer display. Of course, as we climb, you'll gradually see the red on the map disappear as we get above the height of those mountains. The terrain is slowly disappearing off our map, which means we're obviously higher than the tops of the mountains. Well, those are much more realistic looking mountains than the last time I flew over them.
Portable electronic devices. This is also a reminder to please keep your seatbelt fastened throughout the duration of the flight and do not form a line near the lavatory.
Got clear skies ahead, so I don't think there's any danger of ice. And we're above the clouds. And there's our map today, our flight plan. It's lovely, isn't it? The lighting the lighting effect, so the realism to this is just extraordinary. on this simulator. Just amazing. Right, so we just let the simulator, let the autopilot do its job. Right, so we're on our descent now into London Gatwick, crossing the English Channel. And we're now fully, well, we're more or less fully configured for landing now. We haven't got long to go. I'm just more in awe of this simulator now that I've turned the Bing Maps overlay on. I mean, it's just, the level of realism is just extraordinary. I probably keep repeating that, but it is just mind-blowing. And at the time of recording, this is the real life weather as well, so it's a beautiful day in southern England today. Clear blue sky. Now this should line us up with the runway. I can turn the, should be able to turn the localizer on and get ready to put the final stage of flaps out and get the landing gear down. That's the plan anyway. Right, localizer on, that'll line us up to the center of the runway. Get the speed down closer to landing speed. We've got we're fully flapped. Bing the cabin. Right, we can switch on our approach mode. And activate the glide slope. So this should bring us in at a nice steady decline to our landing altitude and the beginning of the runway. And if the flight recorder works, I should be able to get window views of us landing, hopefully. And maybe a air traffic control view as well. So far so good, spot on profile. Just bring our speed down to our landing speed. We've got 2 whites, 2 reds on the PACX. So we've got landing speed now of 127. So we'll turn off the autopilot shortly and see how we get on. Ooh. And a bit of a bounce there. And a bit off centre as well. But welcome to Gatwick Airport.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to London
Yeah, it did
Gatwick.
float a little bit.
The local time is 8:48 a.m. and it's currently about 6 degrees Celsius. You can now use your mobile devices Please remain seated until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the seatbelt sign is turned off. Remember to use caution when opening the overhead bins, as items may have shifted during the flight. If this is your final destination, we thank you for flying with us. If you're making a connection, we encourage you to check your itinerary to ensure a smooth continuation of your journey.
Yeah, it sort of hit the runway and then went back up again. I don't know whether that's to do with the flare issue that this aircraft has had since the latest update from Microsoft. I'm not sure whether it's connected with that. I'll blame that anyway. Right, that's our lights off. Speed brake off. Get our flaps fully up again and just go and find a gate to park at. Well, at least we're ahead of schedule. We're 13 minutes ahead. So that's pretty good going. I expect a high satisfaction percentage today, which looks like it's 95. Despite the little bouncy landing. But it wasn't a hard I don't think it was a hard landing. I think it was a soft bounce rather than a catapult off the runway sort of landing. Right, I think we'll just park her over here at the gate. And declare the flight over. Now, if flight recorder has worked, the next sequence will be the landing at Gatwick and then the takeoff from Innsbruck. I just have to remember to keep the engine, apparently for playback to work you have to remember to keep your engines running, so I can't switch my engines off. So let's see what happens. Well, as you can see, the playback worked. So we'll start with a nice little window view of coming into Gatwick. You can see the nice shadow as well on the fields below. I love that. I haven't had any issues with this flight recorder at all. Sometimes it does get a bit jittery and you do have to give it time to load up all the scenery, because of course in the game itself, when you're using Flight Sim, you know how long it takes for the simulation to load up from the hard drive, so you sort of have to give it time to reload scenery, and then just sit back and choose a camera and watch. Oh yeah, it does go up a bit, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not exactly on the center line, is it? Sort of over to the right of the runway. But that's okay. I've been in worse landings in real life, so I'll take that. Okay, so here is the tower view of the landing.
300. 200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 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 5.
Yeah, there's definite bounce there, isn't there? Was I coming in? Did I come in too fast? I don't know. It's hard to certainly hit the runway with a bit. Normally that happens if your aircraft is quite heavy, doesn't it? I think weight could be an issue. And finally, here we are in Innsbruck. Back in this beautiful airport for the takeoff. We'll start with the drone camera set up beside the runway just to see how it looks. Well, it looks like quite a smooth takeoff. And now the passenger view. Let's see how this looks. Don't know what that clicking is. A little bit of color correction to add a little bit of realism, perhaps.
Too low. Terrain.
And finally, to end the video, we just finish with the a nice little drone shot sweeping over Innsbruck into the mountains. And with that, I'll finish the video and just thank you for watching.